When I say renewable energies, what comes to your mind? Solar energy, windmills and wind farms, biomass? Yes, you're right. But how many of us can think of the oceans as a vast source of renewable energy? Clean energy from the oceans is yet to move from the research arena to the realm of commercialization. Now, while all these other renewable forms that I mentioned are already have been discovered, have been implemented on land around the globe, the ocean energies is actually a possible source of renewable energy. Constant fresh water supply is a true challenge. And you know what the reason is? Climate change. Very few of us understand that water stress is an alarming effect of climate change. There are lots of remote locations in the coast which don't get adequate water supply. Now, yes, wastewater treatment and seawater desalination are possible solutions, but it is important to remember that these need energy and they use fossil fuels. So, what we are doing is we are actually worsening the impacts of climate change while trying to mitigate some of its fallouts. So, what is the obvious solution then? Powering desalination systems with ocean and other renewable forms of energy. Now, 3 decades ago, research was carried out in India on an oscillating water column device in Kerala to generate energy from the waves. And for a long time, this was one of the very few wave energy devices around the world which was constantly generating power. Now, subsequently, what we did is we connected this desalination plant to this wave energy plant, and this was the first ever self-powered plant wherein the clean water was being generated from seawater while using energy from sea waves. With the learnings from this plant, we actually made a wave-powered navigational buoy, and this is a device which is useful for ports and harbors. This has been demonstrated successfully and it has also been transferred to industry. Along with being a clean energy device, this can also provide oceanographic data to ports and harbors. Tides and currents are also vast sources of renewable energy, along with the temperature gradient that exists between the surface seawater and the deep sea water. Now, after extensive laboratory studies, the National Institute of Ocean Technology demonstrated a small hydrokinetic turbine which generates power from the marine currents. This is the hydrokinetic turbine which was demonstrated in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. There are many small remote locations in these islands where there's a need for small powers like 1 to 5 kilowatts. And this hydrokinetic turbine can meet those requirements, and hence we are now scaling it up. So there is a temperature gradient that exists between the surface of the sea and as you go down, and this temperature gradient can actually be used to generate power using what is called as the ocean thermal energy conversion or OTEC cycle. Now, in tropical countries like India, this temperature gradient remains constant fairly throughout the year. And hence, unlike other renewable energy forms, OTEC is a constant form of energy throughout the day and throughout the year even. So way back 20 years ago, NIOT decided to attempt a 1 megawatt floating OTEC plant mounted on a barge offshore and moored in deep waters like 1,000-meter water depth. We still have very severe lack of offshore infrastructure in our country, and hence this deployment was carried out with severe limitations, and unfortunately the project could not be completed. But it is important to remember here that around the globe, OTEC is still in the sea trial and testing stages because of the inherent challenges due to the availability of cold deep sea water from the shores, and also designs which need to cater for extreme environmental conditions in the sea. So this challenge, however, was converted to an opportunity, and NIOT decided to utilize the temperature gradient at shallower waters to do desalination instead. So India has the distinction of putting up the first low temperature thermal desalination or LTTD plant using the temperature gradient in the oceans. This plant has been working since 2005. It has been generating 100,000 liters of good quality potable water per day. It has been raising no issues till date, and it is being run by semi-literate local islanders. It has been running continuously for 18 years, and we have seen a true impact on the health of the people. The health has improved and they are free of many diseases today. So they mentioned to us that they never knew that tea could taste so wonderful because they had always had tea with salt water. So this is a truly remarkable story of drawing board to actual implementation, everything done indigenously, and which has forever changed the lives of the people. With this success, actually, 4 more plants have been implemented in Lakshadweep and 4 more are under implementation today. This same technology using a temperature gradient can be used in coastal thermal power plants. What happens in coastal thermal power plants is they use seawater as a coolant for their condensers, but they end up discharging very hot water, much hotter than the ambient sea water temperature. This temperature difference again can be used to generate fresh water, and this is one such plant where the temperature gradient has been used to make desalinated water. When such plants are implemented in coastal thermal power plants, it serves a dual purpose. One is that it occupies a very small footprint because it is within the power plant premises, and second, it can reduce thermal pollution because the discharged water is cooler than what was originally being rejected before the plant was established within the power plant premises. So new technologies like these can certainly alleviate the water stress, but desalination does need energy, and hence there is a need today to power desalination systems using ocean and other renewables. To this end, NIOT is going back to Kavaratti today. We are now putting up again the first ever plant, an OTEC powered desalination plant, wherein the temperature gradient is being used to generate power which runs the desalination. Also, this self-powered plant will not require power from the diesel generator grid of the islands at all. It will be completely standalone and self-powered. Who would have thought that powering desalination systems with ocean and other renewables can reduce carbon emissions and also alleviate water stress at the same time? This is no longer fiction, it is a fact. But however, I'd like to say one more thing, that it is not only the huge kilowatts and megawatt scales of power that matter. Every watt counts. Just as the ocean is made up of very small, tiny drops, every watt matters. There are lots of remote coastal locations which face severe power crisis and have a real need of lighting. Torches can be used, no doubt, but they run using alkaline batteries, which are a real hazard for the environment. So the need, therefore, is for a convenient, small, affordable, and green means of lighting for such locations. So here is this lamp, which is a saline water lamp, which we have again developed in NIOT, and it has just three components. It has just three components: saline water, a cathode, and an anode. And you can see, as soon as you add the water, the lamp starts glowing. It has got three different types of lamps so that it can be used in any position. There is a lamp down here. The intention of doing this was that you can hang it up in a rural hut and a child can study with the power below. This was originally meant to be a lamp when we started work on it, but actually what we have done now is it makes sufficient power to even power mobile phones. So this can be used whenever a disaster strikes. And you know that when a disaster strikes, the first thing that goes is power, and people are unable to communicate with their near and dear ones. And this can solve that problem. Ocean energy is still in infancy. Commercialization is yet to take place because of perceived risks and high capital. But if we want to make a mark in mitigating climate change, our efforts must continue towards ocean energy. Water, water everywhere and not a drop to drink, wrote Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which is a quote which has been overused excessively. Isn't it time all of us rewrote this? Thank you.